Hey, Redcasters, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Go Big Red.
Anytime you're first in rush offense and you're first in rush defense, like what people say ugly, I think is tough. Does that make sense? Like, whereas people might say, hey, you guys are winning ugly. And trust me, I do know it's ugly. So I'm not saying that. I'm as upset as anything. But the flip side of it is I just think we're kind of a tough team. I kind of like our guys. I think we're kind of a gritty, tough team. And I kind of like running the ball and stopping the run. I kind of think that's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast, the Husker Fan Sports Show.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast. I'm your host, David Gaspers, and I'm with Boomer.
Sorry for the delay there, folks. We've been working hard here trying to figure out how to stream Peacock to Hockey's residence there in Roca, and it's turning out a lot harder than it seemed. So.
It's damn near impossible, Boomer. That's what it is. Also, it's the Redcast Strong, Talon.
I joined late, so they figure this whole thing out.
He just like jumps on. He's like, "Hey guys, yeah, I'll do the show." I'm like, "All right, thanks, Talon," because it's just gonna be me and Boomer.
Yeah,
no, seriously.
Rob is missing and Honky may be dead. So if any of you are out there and happen to see either of them, just point them our way.
A little bit of a berserk week. I do think it's ironic that we've soldiered on as Redcast, the Redcast crew since 2017 for 6+ years. We've seen a lot of losses, done a lot of shows after losses. We suddenly start winning, and everybody's like, I don't know if I can do a show this week. And suddenly it's like hard to get people on. I don't know the reverse psychology of that, Boomer, but you know what? I like talking about winning football, and I know the Mac and Honky were trying to do a show on Monday, and Honky's internet completely went out. We scheduled a show here tonight at 7:30, and my computer totally fritzed out on me. So, but you know what? We made it, and we're going to be talking about winning football because that's what Nebraska's been doing lately, right, Boomer?
Yeah, I'm starting to suspect like a Michigan spy network might be sabotaging, everything here. It's about the only thing that makes sense. But no, it is exciting to finally talk about winning football and, multiple games in a row. This is crazy. We had in October where positive things happened almost every week, and you're in November with something to play for. I mean, when's the last time that's happened? So it's been a while.
Well, 2016 before the show. Talon, you've been to the last 2 home games?
I actually have not. I didn't. I went back to Columbus. So, of course, we win 3 in a row, and I don't go to the 2 home
games. So, okay, you can't go back now. You've lost it. You can't. Obviously, the reason is
the plan is to go to Maryland and Iowa, but I'm a little scared it's going to throw off the mojo. I go and we lose, I'm going to be real mad. So
we'll know who to blame. So at least we'll have that.
No. So it's we start winning. I'm like, maybe should I go? I don't know, but so.
Yeah, I understand. It was a little chilly out there, so I get the cold conditions at least on one of those games. But going to a winning game is always a lot funner than a losing one. So hopefully you get back out there and see a couple more wins. But as Matt Rule will tell us, we got to focus one game at a time. We just want to be 1-0 this week. We've been pretty successful on that now for the last month. And we have to turn our attention to going on the road to East Lansing and try to get one more win and get bowl eligible, right? This week, even though it's just another game, trying to go 1-0, it is important because it would get us that elusive 6th victory, something that we have not done in over half a decade. So it is absolutely crazy. Let's dive into some scarlet-colored glasses and talk all things Husker football. And we'll get to the Bulls here in a second, Boomer. But the big news today was the 2024 Big Ten schedules came out, right?
Yes, they did. So they announced it with the new and improved, expanded, Big Ten, and everyone's got their schedules now. So, and they came out with this kind of nifty matrix. So if you like those, you can kind of get a good visual read of the conference slate there. They don't have the non-con games listed in there, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. I don't think it's quite, what a lot of Nebraska fans panicked and, think the entire conference is against us and they were going to stack us completely, with 4 West Coast trips and everything like that. But
Right.
It's a good, good schedule, I think, and it's going to be tough. It's certainly backloaded for Nebraska, but then it's that way for a lot of teams. It's just the nature of the new Big Ten. It's going to be tough. You're going to play a lot of tougher teams than we're probably used to. So.
Yeah. Bring that back up, Boomer. I want to walk through it a little bit here.
Yeah, I wouldn't look at myself either. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would say first off, opposed to what we've experienced the last 2 years, and we're not the only Big Ten team to do this. We are not opening, and there's no Big Ten team opening with a conference opponent in 2024. So that's a little bit of a return to norm. And to your point, we'll have Colorado at home next year and a couple of lighter teams. There's a chance we can get off to a good start. And then Nebraska starts the Big Ten season September 21st, home game versus Illinois. Go on the road to Purdue, invites the Scarlet Knights to town. We had our bye week in mid-October, one of our 2 bye weeks, actually, it looks like. And then road trips to Indiana and Ohio State. So that's where the pivot happens, right, Boomer? To your point of getting off to a good start here, hey, we know we don't take any wins but Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers, and Indiana all have similar or less talent than Nebraska. Doesn't mean we're going to win those all, but it means we should be favored or being right in the discussion with all 4 of those games. So we could get off to a good start in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be, critical for next season. We don't know exactly how everyone's going to look. It's always hard to project this far in advance, other than obviously Nebraska is going to be far better next year. But just on paper, that's a tough back half of that schedule. You don't want to have to play, that run of teams and hope to try to find 3 wins to get to a bowl. That would be a lot of pressure on that. So, yeah, definitely get those first. You got 3 non-con games against teams that aren't necessarily, grand world beaters. UTEP and Northern Iowa are what they are, and Colorado, that they haven't looked great really since they played us. Nobody escapes playing Nebraska unscathed. So I think that's made a big difference.
Question there would be if Shedeur Sanders is back or not.
Right.
Yeah. But
so who knows what that team's going to look like?
Yep. So Talon, first of all, how many of these games are you going to go to? But more importantly, it looks like here that Nebraska, if they could happen to beat Colorado, for example, and actually, play the way they're playing right now, could get off to a good start and maybe be bowl eligible by the time mid-October rolls around.
Right. So I'm going to try to go to most of the home games next year, right? So
right.
That's the plan. But so it's nice that we get to start off with like UTEP, right? That's who we play first. I mean, that's nice that we can kind of get the ball rolling, get guys, the rust off from all the off season. I think Colorado, if they can keep Shedeur Sanders, they might even be better than they were this year. If they get an O-line, they're probably a ranked team this year. They just can't block anyone. It's tough that we have to go, back-to-back away games, Indiana, and then to Ohio State. That's going to be tough. They're going to get their starting quarterback back. The team that actually is interesting, I think, is we get UCLA at home. I think UCLA might actually be the best team coming back, like coming to the Pac-12, because they get us. Their quarterback's going to be solidified next year with Dante Moore. We don't know how USC is going to look without Caleb Williams. I don't know, but Wisconsin's going to be different. Will they keep Tanner Mordecai? Will they move on? Iowa, it sounds like they're going to, lose their offensive coordinator, which is probably something they should have done a couple of years ago. Right. So it's an interesting schedule. It's, obviously those last 5 games are going to be something to watch for. It's nice that we get another bye week in between UCLA and then get a bye week right before going to Los Angeles. So we get 2 weeks to prepare for them. But yeah, it's interesting. I feel like every year, those last like 5 to 6 games are usually our hardest. it's like, wow, we always play these really, really good teams at the end of the year. We get a Michigan usually late, Ohio State late. And then we always play Wisconsin and Iowa back to back. So it's always interesting to see if we can, get to 4 or 5 wins before then. We haven't done it the last couple of years, but so it's an interesting schedule. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, I think I don't know how you guys feel. I think I'm more comfortable that we get UCLA and USC next year instead of Oregon and Washington coming off of their 2 best years. Is that kind of how you guys are feeling about it?
Yeah,
that's fair.
I think Oregon's always
to your point about USC and losing Caleb Williams. The trick there is, if I have any confidence in Lincoln Riley at all, it's for him to go find another great quarterback to fill that void. So I still don't think USC is going to be by any means easy, but I don't know how quickly they can fix that defense either, right? So that's out there now with Oregon and Washington coming off their best years, but I don't know their depth in quarterback, and you don't get a 6-year Michael Penix Jr. or a 6-year Bo Nix. I think they're both 6-year guys, at least 5-year guys.
Who knows? They might have another 3 years of eligibility left, Dave.
So I don't know. It's a good point, Talon. It's a good point, but it's fun to see that UCLA would be here in November, and then for Nebraska fans who like to travel and the folks are already living out there, USC in November. That is, it's perfect weather out there, and be a chance to kind of shake off the fall temps already in a mid-November matchup. Boomer, looking at the rest of the Big Ten here, it looks like the very first new Big Ten game, I guess, would be UCLA versus Indiana on September 14th.
Rechristening that old rivalry that people love to talk about.
So the Hoosiers go out to the Rose Bowl on September 14th. That will be the first of those. But then after that, it does definitely warms up. Michigan has USC coming to the Big House.
Northwestern gets Washington in a purple battle. So.
Who has the best purple? Wisconsin, USC is a matchup. Rutgers, Washington. So it accelerates quickly from there. And I know the November 2nd weekend is one that's already been circled, where you've got you have Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Oregon, Nebraska, UCLA, Ohio State, Penn State, and that's a good week.
And Rutgers is idle, so Washington
for the best
that week too. And that's a stocked weekend. And we mentioned this on Twitter today. If people wonder, well, why did the Big Ten expand and add all these teams? Well, this is why. So you can put together days like that where you're basically, given our TV partners, you're going to have one of those marquee games on in every slot that day. So you're just going to be able to sit down and spend an entire day watching, the name programs the Big Ten play from probably 11 in the morning until, late at night, and it'll be Big Ten after dark at that point. So that's why you do this. So you can basically dominate an entire day of football and have a ton of marquee games on it. So, definitely exciting to look forward to.
Yeah, it is interesting. Both UCLA and USC, their rivalry game is not the last week, but second to last week, November 23rd, and both of them have a bye week at the end of the year.
Well, USC actually plays Notre Dame that last game of the year on the 30th.
There we go.
That could be. I don't know if UCLA plays anybody on the 30th. I'd have to take a quick peek at their schedule. So.
Okay. All right. Yep. That makes sense. And it does look like just because of the calendar and how everything falls out, it's a double bye year where everybody gets 2 weeks off.
That is correct.
Boomer, that's an interesting thought. I was listening to Steve Sipple and Bill Bush and their show on, I think it's 93.7 The Ticket. I forget the name of their show. But Bill Bush had brought up a really interesting point. The college football season of all the kind of major sports, quote unquote, seems to go by the fastest, right? You only get 12 games of regular season, and you only get one bye week. he was just like, look, you don't, without even adding additional games to the schedule, you would add inventory, stretch out the season by having everyone have 2 bye weeks every year. And I'm like, right, just kind of make week 0 permanent. Everyone gets 2 bye weeks. And from a TV inventory standpoint, you just added a whole extra week of inventory, essentially. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that makes some sense. Yeah, I suppose the concern is, you always hear about, that was the complaint about the expanded playoff is, how long are these seasons going to go on and cut into their studies? But,
yeah, but you're putting that on the front end.
Exactly. Put it on the front end, I think, more. But no, it makes sense. And, we've commented on text change that, the TV networks aren't shelling out billions of dollars just for status quo type things. They're going to want content, and they're going to want a lot of it. They're going to want it on Fridays, Saturdays, as many weeks as they can stuff it in there. And so that's just going to be the nature of it. Yeah, we might see this more going forward. That wouldn't surprise me at all if we see some of that double buy. So it'll be interesting.
Well, and especially with like the traveling, if you're going that far out of town, it'd be nice to get that extra week to kind of recoup from from playing basically a 60-minute football game in a whole across the country. You look at different conferences, especially the ACC is spread out. We're spread out, so I think it's smart to do an extra bye week, especially if you're going to do a 12-team playoff. Those 12 teams that go, they're playing, if you keep winning out, you get an extra, 4 games. So it's pretty smart that they're actually adding a bye week, and it's probably something they should just continue to do, if we're going to keep the 12-team playoff. And obviously realignment isn't done, but it's just something to kind of help these student athletes kind of recoup their bodies and get used to all the time change elements and the long flights and stuff like that.
Sure. No, absolutely. Yeah. Well, it should be interesting. Should be a fun season. I definitely will look into seeing if we can pull off the Redcast trip to Los Angeles in November. That would be a blast. I know Rob actually is not here tonight because he just got back from Disneyland and he's just too exhausted from his trip to 4 or 5 days in Disneyland. So I bet a lot of Husker fans will combo that USC road trip with other similar activities. So, well, talking about road trips, something that Husker fans have not done in a long time is go on the road to see their beloved Cornhuskers play in a bowl game. And we've got to win this week. Let's just go ahead and get it done. And we'll break down this game a little bit. But obviously at 5-3 and with 4 games to go and all those being potential, games that we should be competitive in, making the bowl is now kind of an expectation. Boomer, we have some bowl projections out there.
Yeah, there's been quite a few, over the last few weeks because, why not? That's what everyone does at this point in time. But, I pulled a few of them together early on. This is assuming we don't win the Big Ten West and, win the conference, which is, not out of the realm of possibility, right?
Still out there.
But it's still there. That goal's still intact. But we threw a little poll together for some of them. I know Rule doesn't want to look forward to that, but that's our job, so we'll go ahead and do that. And 4 of the ones I saw were the Music City Bowl versus Florida, Guaranteed Rate Bowl. You had your choice of 2 opponents, BYU or Iowa State, or the Las Vegas Bowl versus Utah. So, and we threw a quick poll out on that just to see which one, our fans would be more interested in. And I was sort of surprised that the Guaranteed Rate Bowl versus Iowa State was the main, I guess, got the plurality of votes there. So, but
that's in seen. Phoenix?
Yes, Phoenix. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, all of those destinations would be good. Heck, I'll take Detroit if we have to. Not really my preference. Hey, there's Vegas Jer, and he says go to the Vegas Bowl. Absolutely, I think that's
more exciting than Phoenix, if you ask me. Yeah, we're gonna go to the desert. Let's go to Vegas. But.
Yeah, an amazing stadium. Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, like the thing is, I think if we keep on winning here, if we can get over 6 and we can raise the profile enough that one of these higher tiered bowls will justify going after Nebraska because we haven't been in one in 7 freaking years. And we know
it could matter
a whole bunch of people there.
If the Big Ten gets 2 teams in the playoffs too, that moves everybody up a spot too. So no possibility.
Fair enough.
And in terms of, I guess what team would you like to play in that? I know we kind of chatted a bit about it, a week or so or earlier this week. I know a lot of people liked the Iowa State option, and I suppose that's probably, Big 8 nostalgia. They're close, all that sort of
Mhm.
stuff. I mean, I don't think that's as much of a win if you play Iowa State. Yeah, you can beat Iowa State, but we might already beat Iowa
Yeah.
at that point. You're basically playing another Big Ten West team. What I want to see this team do and play, I think where you play a game like Florida, you play an SEC team, see how
Yeah,
good this
different
defense
style.
is. Yeah, it'd be
Sure.
interesting to play a better style because I've even seen some of those rumblings on Twitter. It's Nebraska's defense is great, but look who they played, and that's true. We haven't played a whole lot of world-beating offenses, and Florida is not the
Mhm.
Florida of old, but still, I would love to see this defense go up against a vaunted SEC opponent and see how they do. I think that would
Sure.
be a great opportunity
Yeah.
to build for next year. Where if you beat Iowa State, it's just meh, no one's going to care about that too much. So I mean, it's nice to go to any bowl, win any bowl, you get those practices, but yeah, let's really
Yes.
really use it as
Yeah.
a building block for the next season.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, turn down anything. Yeah, Vegas Jared says the Bulls will be lined up begging for Nebraska. Fans will overwhelm the stadium. Yeah, completely agree, Jared. I mean, I think it's obvious that this matters, right? In this day and age where we see Bulls on TV and they're played at crazy times on Tuesdays on the December 23rd or 27th or whatever, having a stadium that's full is priceless, I would imagine, for these Bull promoters. And they're going to get a lot more Husker fans in there than virtually almost any other fan base, considering how long it's been. Nashville's interesting, Boomer, in the sense that, I mean, that's our last bowl game, right? But it was against Tennessee. Is that right?
Oh yes,
And
yep, back in the Riley
yeah,
years. Yep.
essentially a home game for them. Florida, it's kind of like, middle ground. They probably are a little bit closer, but that would actually be a cold bowl game for Florida fans.
Yeah.
So I think we might win the battle there on that one.
Yeah, I don't think they're allowed to go north of Atlanta, really. After November, so it'll be a shock for them. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. I would take any of those. I have seen, a few more ambitious picks to go to the Citrus or whatever if we could just get to 8-4. But you know what? Get the 6 this week. This is your opportunity to lock that down and then build on that. So, all right, guys. You want to talk a little bit about the Huskers' trip to East Lansing?
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Excellent. Let's talk all things Nebraska offense with the scoring explosion. And, we broke out for 31 points, Boomer, but I'll give you this. It was more special teams than the offense at times, huh? You think we can do that again?
Might have to. I mean, yeah, that's scoring explosion is a relative term of this bunch, but hey, anytime you can put that many points up, no matter how you do it, that works for me. So, and with that defense, that'll win you most games you play, especially in this conference and division. I don't know if they'll be able to do that every week, but at least you get something to build on. And yeah, offense this last week against Purdue, they struggled, for a good chunk of that game, still turning the ball over way too much, but the defense is able to bail them out. And the defense is able to hold well enough to give the offense enough chances to make something happen. They did put together one really nice looking drive. They're usually good for about 1 or 2 of those a game, it seems. And then that usually sets up enough stuff to spring a pass or two, for the game.
Yep.
And that just might be the recipe to score going forward. The defense buys you enough time that you'll eventually, have the one good drive that works and break a few extra plays. And that's what it takes to win out. That's what it takes. So that's probably what we're going to end up having to see.
Yeah. So Talon, I mean, offensively, obviously the turnovers are maddening and they seem to come in little bunches, whether it's beginning of the game or later in the game. But the defense bails us out. And to Boomer's point, I mean, I think maybe the best drive this offense has put together was, I think, about the third drive or so, right? Where we went 15 plays for 87 yards for that touchdown. And it seemed like Marcus Satterfield, to his credit, really got into a little bit of a rhythm there with play calling. Harburg made some good reads, and we did everything right on that drive, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, considering we can run the ball like we do, it really does set up a lot of different things with the play action and kind of getting guys out of the flat. The touchdown we scored for Fedoni, I believe, he's coming out of the flat and, he just hits a little sidearm to him. It's an easy completion. I think we need to see more of that going into these next 4 games, and especially Michigan State, because we're down offensive linemen. They're going to try and bring some pressure to kind of influence Heinrich. The turnovers. I mean, we had 5 fumbles and 4 of them lost. I mean, I don't understand how we continuously. Rule preaches, we got to hold on to the ball, and then each week it just seems like it gets worse and worse with the fumbles. I don't understand it. But the first play of the game, we fumble on a kickoff return. It's like, well, I thought we kind of got over this a little bit, but I think the thing that can really change this game is if our defense can get turnovers. It's nice when we can continuously get stops, but and when they can play their field position and then punt us down to the 10-yard line, it's pretty tough for our offense to get going. We got those two interceptions from Tommy Hill and a blocked field goal. So if we can just continue to get turnovers on our defensive side to set up our offense, I think we'll be in just fine shape. We're probably not going to, like Boomer said, we're good for maybe 1 to 2 good drives a game and then a big play here and there. But if our defense can set us up with some really good field position in their end, I think we can. Tristan Ovano's looked really good the last couple of weeks, hitting, he had a 4-yarder. So, I don't think we're going to need to score over. If there's an offense out there that's worse than us in Iowa, I think it's Michigan State. So
need to get about 21 points, probably, hopefully, right?
Yeah, I don't think we need to and kick some easy field goals, get Ovano in the game. I don't think as long as we can get 1 or 2 turnovers to set our offense up, I think we'll be just fine.
Yeah. Boomer, could you look up the weather for this game? I'm imagining it's going to be at least chilly. Hockey and I went up to East Lansing in October so many years ago, and it was absolutely frigid. I don't know if it's going to be like that, but it can be windy and cold up there, even if it's in the 40s or 50s, East Lansing, and yet still have some wind blowing off the ocean there. Let's throw the bones here and talk defense as Boomer looks up that weather report from East Lansing. And Talon, the defense, once again, a complete performance. And if it wasn't for a couple of late turnovers, including one by Jeff Sims after Harvard just gets rocked, we give up points. And we were close to pitching a shutout, really. I mean, they were if we would have actually made Purdue drive the length of the field there in the fourth quarter, we might have got it done, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they didn't move the ball at all against us through that entire game. Their first touchdown comes off of a fumble in our own end, and he hits a long pass. And something that is kind of a thing for us this year on the defensive side is when the quarterback gets out of the pocket, we just kind of tend to struggle to keep with our receivers. We've seen it a couple different times.
Sure.
And I think that's something that Hudson Carr, when we keep them in the pocket, our secondary is very, very good. Tommy Hill and Quentin Newsome, Hartzog's playing lights out. Gifford's able to, track back and stop some long passes, against us. But we've really kind of struggled to stop a quarterback when he gets out of the pocket on a scramble drill and continue to cover those receivers. So I don't know much about Michigan State's quarterback and what he can do. I know it's their second string now is who they're playing in Hauser.
Or third, yeah. It's
like that.
Noah Kim would have been their guy, yeah. So I think you're right. Defensively, we had to go after that quarterback. I think we need to get pressure on him, and they do have a good running back too. Transfer from Mac School, if I remember right. The thing is, if you look down at Michigan State's schedule and they lost their last 6, and you're like, well, this team's horrible, right? I'm not saying they're a good team, but there's games on there where they could have won, right? They were up against Rutgers 24-7, I want to say, and blew that game. They were close versus Iowa. Last week, they lost 27-12. You just look at that score and you're like, well, Minnesota took care of business. In the Big Ten West, 27-12 is a blowout, right? But reality is it was 17-12. And Michigan State fails to convert on 2-point conversion to keep it at 17-12. And Minnesota doesn't actually add a touchdown onto that until 4 minutes to go in the game. So 4 minutes to go in the game, it is 17-12. So, and we know we lost to Minnesota. So we cannot take the Spartans lightly here because they've hung around in these games. Even though they've lost all 6 of them, it's not like they haven't competed versus some like opponents. So,
yeah. They were kind of like us from a couple of years ago where, we'd kind of be up late or we'd be in the game late and then, we just do something dumb to kind of let them, take the lead or something. I think against Iowa they were up 3 or something, and then they let a punt return touchdoone go.
Yeah,
and
Cooper
kind
DeJean.
Yeah, and so it just kind of reminds me of us from a couple of years ago where we would be really good through 2-3 quarters, and then something bad happens at the end usually.
Yep. Boomer, this is senior day in East Lansing because of they're playing their last home game in Ford Field in Detroit. I'm sure you like that.
Oh, yes. Sensible. Yeah. Well, it's for the land grant trophy, that coveted trophy with Penn State that I'm sure
It's true.
really concerned about. Yeah.
The legacy of the land grant trophy. The ugliest trophy I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. It's like that's the kind of trophy they forgot about until the day of the game and had to scramble and, glue stuff together. So it's hard to explain if you haven't
really
seen it.
glue to put it together.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Boomer, so weather report 56 and with cloud cover.
Yeah. As of right now, it doesn't look like the weather's going to be a major factor. I mean, it'll be cool, but,
now that'll be
not
high. So, it'll be cooler at an 11 a.m.
Yeah, it should warm up as the game goes on. So, yeah, I don't think weather will play a huge factor at this point. We still got a few days to go. So, but yeah, it should be good. And, with Michigan State, their biggest problem is just complete lack of ability to score against Power 5 or FBS teams.
Yeah.
I mean, they are, if I remember right, the worst Power 5 team when it comes to scoring offense. And it shows against the teams they played. When they played anybody good, they just haven't been able to score all. They've got 16 against Iowa, which is a lot, but they have 24 in Rutgers, 12 against Minnesota, but then they get blanked by Michigan. They only managed 9 against Maryland, 7 against Washington. I think they average like 18 points a game, thereabouts.
Yep.
So you'd have to feel pretty good about Nebraska's chances in this if they can get to about 20 points, because I'd be hard pressed to see Michigan State scoring a whole lot more than that. So defense should be able to pretty well shut them down and, control this game kind of the way they have the last few games would be my initial thought in this.
Yep. Make sure that offense doesn't give the Spartans a short field and let the defense actually defend 75, 80 yards. And
yes,
we should be hopefully looking at victory number 6 on the year.
Yep.
All right, guys, you ready to? Oh, go ahead, Boomer.
No, and then that means a bowl. So
that's right. IPS. It wouldn't be talking ahead any longer if we already have the 6 win. We talk freely about the bowl trip and not feel like we're putting any undue pressure on the team. Even though I think this defense right now welcomes any and all because they are playing very, very confident.
And here's your land grant.
Oh, there it is,
right there. If you've never seen it before, folks, it's a work of art. I mean, I can't even explain
100 years of games on that one side. They probably only played 25 times or something.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think they're really planning to fill any of that. They just had extra stuff to fill in. Had a lot of little plaques to put in there, and it's like they glued a couple of statues they broke off a bowling trophy they found and printed some pictures off the internet and slapped them on there and found a ivory cat and glued it to some old office furniture they found at the last minute. So
I don't even know.
It's an epic trophy.
Player. I don't even think I'd want that.
Have you ever seen that before, Talon? Is that the first time you've ever seen that?
That's the first time I've ever seen that trophy. I usually, unless both teams are good, I usually end up, it's the last week of the season. There's a bunch of other games going on, so I'm usually watching that. But usually I think Penn State's taken it the last couple of years. I mean, Michigan State has been very good since.
Me and Boomer have a sick interest in trophy games of the oddest types. And that one right there is one of the worst of all time.
Well, there's a lot of pointless trophy games out there where it's like, why would you even want to play for that? I think last week
I like the goofy ones, right? Where you've got
goofy's fine,
backstory to it,
Yeah, but South Carolina, Texas A&M was a trophy game last week. I was like,
really? I didn't know that.
That one I don't. Yeah, there's the forced trophies like that. And
there's
the ones with Iowa we have. But, like the $5 bits of broken chairs, organic. That's what a trophy should be.
But I think they played 10 times, and Texas A&M has won 9 of them. So
that sounds about right.
Yeah, so it's nothing great. But they've only been playing since Texas A&M has joined, and they made it a trophy game. So
I don't know. I mean, you can get games like yesterday. We got Akron and Kent State playing for a wagon wheel. They've been doing that since World War II. That's fun. That's the kind of stuff you want.
A brass spittoon. Yep. An iron skillet.
Isn't there a golden
nails?
Isn't there a golden boot? Is it not Arkansas LSU?
Oh yeah,
Yep, that's the golden
That is-
boot. Yeah, that's right. It's a good one.
I like Michigan State, Michigan.
That's
What
for
is it?
Paul Bunyan's.
The Paul Bunyan Trophy. I always
Yeah,
like when they
yeah.
put their helmet on him and they're running around the field with it. I love that.
That's
a
great.
good one.
Well, hopefully, maybe we should get some trophy games with UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington that are like good ones, right? Instead of just like forced fake ones, right? I don't know how
Exactly,
you can pull that
yeah.
off. But
Make it.
They'll need
sound
corporate sponsors nowadays in the modern Big Ten. So
that's right. That's right.
Very good.
Well, make it a fun one, and then you have a corporate sponsor. It could be like someone that actually, like,
Take it.
I don't know, some
like
sense of
Pop-Tarts
humor. I guess.
sponsor a trophy. That's what you need. Yeah.
Exactly.
Very good.
Okay, guys, are we ready to throw out some best bets?
The Betcast Picks of the Week.
All right, let's see what we got here, guys. It's been a rough year, I tell you. I mean, I've not had this many weeks in a row where I've just not really had a big week, but I think it's all going to change here. Let's start with a Friday night matchup. Colorado State going to Laramie. It's going to be windy there in Laramie, 7,200 feet. The Rams are used to the elevation, but they might keep the score down. Cowboys favored by 6, over under at 41.5. What do you say, Colin?
I'll take Wyoming in this one. I think they can win by 10. I think that's a good bet. Colorado State usually keeps it close, but I think Wyoming can maybe pull away in the fourth quarter. I would probably take the on that too, honestly. I think both teams.
I would say, the system bet that you would take here is the under, because the wind will probably be over 10 miles per hour, which typically windy unders hit at a pretty good clip. Boomer, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Normally, like we'd say, the altitude would have a huge impact on that if Honky was here, but he's not. If I were to go with this, I'd probably take Wyoming to win the game, but I think Colorado State could cover, -6. They've covered a decent amount this year.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be that kind of a game. I think
They're
it's going to be a low-scoring affair, be a little sloppy, and I don't think anyone's going to blow anybody out in this. So I think it'll be low-scoring enough. I think the Rams can at least keep it within 6.
All right. You guys are split. All right, let's go to should have been one of the biggest games of the week, but Clemson is struggling at 4-4. I think I got this right. Clemson is actually a home dog. Is that right, to Notre Dame? 3 points being given to the Tigers. Over under at 44. Smelling an upset here? You think Clemson can bounce back?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think I just think there's kind of a.
I think the Tigers are done. Yeah.
I think they'll probably win maybe 2 more games this year, 3 more games, but it just seems like this season's kind of, Cade Klubnik's not even listening to his coach on important calls. Yeah, which is insane. I mean, when does that happen to Dabo? Dabo's going off on rants against, fans from, incoming sports calls. So I'll take Notre Dame. I think they can beat this Clemson team by more than 3. So.
Boomer?
Yeah, I think I would agree with that too. I've kind of gotten burned on Notre Dame prior this year, but I think they'll be able to beat Clemson. They're coming off a just crushing of, Pittsburgh, and then, USC the week before. Notre Dame seems to have things kind of figured out since that Louisville loss. And Clemson's just kind of in some disarray.
It is interesting.
It might be hard for us to see them making a bowl. I don't know. They've got
they have a tough schedule ahead, right?
Yeah, they have Notre Dame and North Carolina for sure, and then I think South Carolina and Georgia Tech left. So that would be
they already had Florida State.
Yeah, that would be a little bit of probably some discomfort there in Clemson. If you're not making a bowl already at this point. And,
Dabo
with the same coach, you go from national title wins to 500 at best. This season. That'll be interesting to see how they handle that in the offseason. So that's a big thing for Dabo.
Yeah, Dabo's not big on NIL, obviously,
No,
and
or transfer portals or any of
and,
those.
and
Yeah, he's a different
transfers.
style of coach, and that may just not translate well anymore. I don't know.
Yep. All right. Well, here's a game actually in Denver, played at Mile High. Army, the Black Knights come to town and against the Air Force Academy coming up from the Springs. Air Force Academy favored by 18.5. I've seen it at 19. It's been moving over and under at 32. That's a huge number to cover when your over under is 32. Boomer?
Yeah, what that basically tells me is they don't think Army's going to score, essentially, much at all. Which, might be the case. I watched them a little bit. Last week they played UMass and lost, and that's never a good sign when you're losing to Massachusetts. And then the prior 2 weeks, Army got blanked by LSU and Troy. Ever since that Boston College game, Army just hasn't had a whole heck of a lot going for it. Air Force is a pretty solid team. It's they'll definitely they're definitely the money line pick there without any question. 18.5. Boy, yeah. If Army can score once, they'll keep that. They'll cover that spread, but I'm not sure if they will.
Yeah, so Talon Air Force got 31 last week, I think, against Colorado State.
30.
So I guess
30 against CSU.
30.
Yeah.
So,
but they only got 17 against Navy, so that's kind of where I'm pulling the naval.
Sure.
And,
and that's probably more of a similar pace. Yeah. Service Academy, back to system betting. If you like trends, Service Academy under is one of the most famous systems bet you can get. It hits right now, like in the last decade, about 80% of the time the under. And so Vegas has continually driven these numbers further down, just like they're doing Iowa over-unders now. and this is pretty low. 32 is pretty low.
I think I would take Army to cover. It's one of those rivalry games where, and it's a neutral site game. Can Army come in and just play a good half of football? They don't even need to play a complete game to cover this. Air Force isn't going to go out and score a ton of points. So I think I actually like the under on this. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think, 17-3, 20-3, something like that. I think, I think Army can cover this in a rivalry game for the Commander's Trophy.
I like it. Okay. All right. Here's a trophy game of sorts, I guess. I don't know if they actually play for, but Oklahoma going to Stillwater for at least the last time in the foreseeable future. And I think I did I get this wrong, Boomer? Is Oklahoma favored by 5.5? I think I put the number on the wrong side there.
I think they would have to be.
Sure they are.
I'd be stunned if they weren't. So.
Although Okie State now is 6-2 already. I mean, they've really turned their season around. But Oklahoma favored by 5.5. Over under at 61.5.
Yeah, Oklahoma State's ranked 22 now, right?
Yeah. No, they've been on a roll. They figured out their quarterback, and they're winning games.
Yeah, I'll take Oklahoma to cover this one.
Oh, I'm shocked. All right, Talon goes Oklahoma. Boomer, you think that's?
Yeah, this will be interesting. The last Bedlam game. And Oklahoma played with fire a lot these last couple of weeks and got burned by the Jayhawks finally last week.
Yep.
Oh, I think I would probably pick Oklahoma to win this just because they'll do it to spite Okie State on their way out the door. But I'm not super confident in that pick. So.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma. They struggled there. I think that's probably being a little bit still getting some being brought down because of the loss. So I just don't know if Oklahoma State's for real or not. So over under, that's been going up. So if you like that number, catch it as soon as you can because it's going to get higher and probably get over 63. This one I find interesting just because I think that number is awfully low. I don't know if the line stinks or not. I know Kentucky's nothing to be excited about, but Mississippi State's struggling. Over under 51.5 here. Wildcats -5. What do you think, guys?
I know nothing about Mississippi State football this year, so that's
they're not good. I'll tell you that.
No, I can't imagine. But I think Kentucky's on a bit of a slump here too lately. Ever since they got waxed by Georgia, I mean they lost to Missouri and Tennessee. So I don't think anyone's
Yeah, but
coming into
those
this
are
game.
good teams, at least halfway
Well, they
decent
are.
teams.
Yeah, they are,
Mississippi
but
State's
I'm
not
not sure
good.
anyone's coming into this game with a lot of momentum. So
That's fair.
yeah,
That's fair. I hear you. I
so,
just don't think the Bulldogs are any good.
no, I don't think they
Essentially an
are either.
interim
Yeah.
coach, essentially, that kind of like, I mean, like that weird offense this year. I don't know.
Well,
Talon, thoughts?
well, yeah, Mississippi State kind of, after Mike Leach's passing, kind of changed their entire philosophy. I know there's been a couple of games where like Will Rogers has only thrown it 20, 25 times, whereas last year he's thrown it 50 times. So it's weird how much they changed in one offseason. I think he probably should have just kept it the same, ran the course, see what happens instead of completely changing your offense, where I think they had a pretty good scoring offense last year. So they completely just changed everything on the offensive side, and it's really shown how bad they've struggled because they didn't recruit to that. So I'll take Kentucky to cover. I think Kentucky's Devin Leary's coming off his best game against Tennessee. It looked like he kind of finally figured some things
Finally
out.
looks healthy.
Yeah. They were in that game late in Tennessee. Joe Milton was able to kind of just make a couple more plays than Devin Leary was. So I think Kentucky covers. Mississippi State's a very bad team. What are they at? Are they 2-5, 2-6, maybe?
Something like that, yeah.
It's not great. So I'll take Kentucky to cover here.
All right. I like that one. All right, let's stay down in the SEC where it just matters more. And this normally would be one of the biggest games of the year. Still an important game. LSU going to Tuscaloosa. Alabama favored by 3. Over-under is also at 61.5. This is a short number for Alabama, and they've been playing a lot better. I don't know if I trust LSU's defense with anything. Talon, what do you think here?
So I think you're going to have to take the over. I don't know if there's a country or a defense in the country that can stop LSU's offense on a consistent basis. Bama's really going to have to put up some points to beat LSU. Jaden Daniels and those two receivers, I mean, they're making plays. They're making things happen.
Mm-hmm. I love that pick. Over at 61.5. I'm sure that number can keep on going too, but grab it now.
Yeah. I would take LSU to win this game. I don't think Jalen Milroe and Bama offense can keep up. I think LSU, their defense
at home. That would be a big win for LSU. Brian Kelly. Yeah. If Daniels has a shot at the Heisman, this is the game.
And it would keep them kind of in the playoff race. If they win out the rest of the year, they go to the SEC championship game and find a way to beat Georgia. They might be the first 2-loss team in the playoff. So, LSU's offense is just absolutely electric, and I don't know if there's anyone who can really stop them on a consistent basis.
All right. Yeah. No, I'll buy that. I don't know. I kind of like Alabama to win at home, but I get it. Maybe it's just money line. Boomer.
It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of one of those, clinging for dear life if you're LSU to a playoff bid, and Alabama, probably needs to win out to feel confident that they'd make it too. So, I know LSU's got a good offense, but, the few times they have played, solid teams, I mean, they have struggled against them a little bit. That opening game of the year against Florida State, they kind of got waxed, and then they did lose to Mississippi. They put up a lot of points in that game. Don't get me wrong. I think in terms of balance, I think Alabama's probably more of a balanced team than LSU is. So I think in the long run, they'll end up winning this game, and they'll probably cover that 3 points. Would be my guess. This will be like a 6 or 7 point win, I think, for Alabama, just because the world is so dark and we can't ever get the tide out of things.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it probably will come down to the last possession. To Talon's point, if LSU gets a shot to win the game, they might go and do it. And if Alabama's holding on to the ball, maybe they can still cover the 3, right? It's pretty much a pick 'em there, really. Let's stay down south one more time in the conference we love to hate. And Mizzou, which we have a rivalry game against, right? There was a bell of some sort.
Yes, it was a bell that somehow we buried at one point.
That's right. Going to Athens to take on the number 1 ranked Bulldogs. Uga's favored by 15, over under 56.5. I thought Florida could hang with Georgia last week, at least just within the spread. I actually did a same game parlay and got it at 17.5. And they just, Florida was never in that game. So Georgia likes to rise up and beat teams that they're supposed to beat. and Mizzou is ranked and playing well. Talon, you think that 15 is a good number?
Man, this is a tough game because it's, you wouldn't think Georgia would just come in and absolutely obliterate Missouri, but they always find a way whenever they're playing a really good team to just absolutely clobber them. I think you would have the under. I think both teams have really, really stout defenses. I don't know how much offense is going to be able to really work in this game. I think I like Missouri's defense. I think they can find a way to get a couple of stops.
Not against LSU though. You didn't like them against LSU. And that game was
LSU I think might have the best offense in the country. I know they didn't play that great against Florida State, but every game since then they have been absolutely dynamic. Jada Daniels got things going. But I think I'm going to take Missouri to cover this. I think Georgia still wins, but I think it's like a 10-point game. I think 15's a little high for me. I think Missouri's defense can kind of find a way to get a couple stops against that offense.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. Boomer, you got to take?
Yeah, this is going to continue my ongoing The World is So Dark series. Georgia seems to kind of be figuring things out here, unfortunately. Missouri is good. They can score points. I've liked, they've come close to like the game against LSU. They could have won that game, and, that would have been fun if they had. But I kind of see Georgia just pulling away on this one, especially as the game goes on. So I think Georgia will win this, and I might even take the over on this. I think it'll be a little closer to 60 on this. I think you'll see somebody in the upper 30s and the other team pretty close to that. So,
all right, let's get one out of here with one more. UCLA going to the desert, Arizona, 2.5-point dogs at home, over under at 50. Arizona's playing really good, guys. They don't have the number in front of their name right now, but I don't know if the wrong team's not favored here. I think Arizona might be able to cover at home. What do you think, Talon?
I'm going to take Arizona to win this game. I think their defense has played a lot better. They were able to shut down Oregon State for long portions of that game, and that quarterback
was a legit win.
Yeah, I mean they just came out and really figured it out, especially in the second half. They were really able to get their run game going and some things going with their receiver McMillan on the outside. So I'll take Arizona to cover and win this game.
All right. Well, that would be a Big Ten loss next year. Boomer, what do you think?
Yeah, this is an interesting game. Arizona kind of snuck up on everybody, I think, as this year's gone on. I didn't have a whole lot of faith in them early on, and then
maybe give Nebraska a few more, and they'll be saying that about us.
Yeah, exactly. But Arizona's got wins against Washington State, who is a fairly legit team, and now Oregon State. And,
Washington State.
They could have beaten USC and probably should have. So, so they are playing good, and then home field advantage should play into this. But I think UCLA will find a way to squeak by in this and probably win by a field goal. So I take UCLA there in this one. So.
All right, fair enough. All right, guys. Well, that was our latest edition of the Betcast. Let's head into parting shots and get the heck out of here. Talon, what do you got for me?
I'm still going on my take with I think we only lose one game the rest of the year. I think it's probably Wisconsin.
All right.
I think our defense is playing lights out.
Yep.
We can kind of control the turnovers on offense. We don't need to score a ton of points against these next four opponents, just making sure we don't put our defense into bad positions and let them play their game, make a team drive the full length of the field on them, which I don't think many teams can do. So, I think we only lose one game the rest of the year and might find ourselves into a Big Ten championship game.
Wouldn't that be something, huh?
It'd be interesting.
Well, we'll take one game at a time. Let's see if we can take care of Sparty. Boomer, get us out of here.
First thing, Vegas Jerry had his quick picks there. So if he's still listening or anyone else,
nice.
He's got Indiana at plus 11 and Michigan at minus 28. Indiana, who do they have this week? Wisconsin. Yeah, Wisconsin's visiting Indiana this week.
Okay.
So. Might not be a bad pick. I mean, Wisconsin's struggling on offense. They've got a ton of injuries too, and might not be a bad idea. And Michigan's got everybody's signs and probably has spies listening as we speak. So
Harbaugh is going to try to prove a point.
Yeah, and so why not bet them until the Big Ten does something about it. So go with that. So, and then my other parting shot. I know we saw that they just announced the selections for the Nebraska Athletics Hall of Fame. Lori Endicott, Tommy Frazier, Emily Parsons, Tolly Thompson, and Brittany Timko, and retired track and field head coach Gary Pepin. We'd like to congratulate all of them for their induction into the Nebraska Athletics Hall of Fame. However, I would like to remind any of our university listeners, Tyler Kai, if you're out there, you're still missing a name in there. We need to induct the Baron. We've had this discussion, so we'll start on that next year. So we expect it in 2024. So hashtag induct the Baron,
Excellent.
everyone.
That's right. All right, guys. Fun show. We clocked in on our hour. I think we covered our bases. For now, let's call that another Go Big Redcast.
A Herd at Sports Network production.